Hi, folks. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So, let's take a look at this recent paper on how AI is affecting the way knowledge workers engage in critical thinking. This is going to be published at the upcoming Computer Human Interaction Conference later this year. And the authors have zoomed in on two specific research questions. The first one is, how do knowledge workers perceive the inaction of critical thinking, which means how do they actually perform critical thinking when using AI? And the second one is, how does this increase or decrease their cognitive load or the effort they're putting into the task? Now, before going too far, we should ask, what is the definition of critical thinking? The one the authors use here encompasses basically everything you do when you engage in some sort of a cognitive task. So it includes knowledge, which is how you remember ideas, comprehension, how you understand ideas, application, which is using those ideas in practice, analysis, which is comparing different ideas, synthesis, which is combining these ideas to make something new, and finally, evaluation, which means judging the idea via some kind of benchmark or criteria or rubric. So it's a pretty broad definition. The way this study was set up was that it relies on self-reported input from about 300 knowledge workers. So they were asked to fill out a survey. And among those respondents, this was the distribution of the tools they were using. I found this interesting because ChatGPT leads by far, but it also shows that the majority of the usage is with a generic chat UI as opposed to some kind of an AI solution embedded into their day-to-day workflows or the applications that they're using every day. There was some of that, like Copilot in Microsoft Word or in Google Slides, but that was a very small fraction. Looking at the very first research question, how do knowledge workers perform critical thinking when using AI? They found a few large areas, and none of these are very surprising. One large area was forming the initial query or the prompt, and many people iterated on the prompt until they got the kind of output that they were looking for. The other big area is ensuring that the output meets their criteria. For example, one person said, I had to make sure the generated text met the requirements of the client. So the human is still doing a lot of checking and verification, either through objective or subjective standards. Another big area of work that the human still had to do was verifying information against sources. So making sure that no hallucinations crept in. And finally, all of this work flows into what the authors are calling integrating the response, which is that workers aren't just copy-pasting the reply of ChatGPT into the output, but they have to edit it and change it and massage it to produce the final output they're looking for, or to integrate it into the broader workflow that they're performing. But here's the important meta finding. They found that if the workers are highly confident in AI doing the task, they use less critical thinking. And if they are highly confident in their own ability to do the task, they do more critical thinking. So that's not too surprising. If you have more faith in the AI, you tend to take its word as opposed to verifying and cross-checking everything that it says. But they found good empirical evidence for that. On to the second question, which asked how their cognition shifted. In which areas did Gen AI help them, and in which areas did it make them exert more effort? One area that it helped a lot was gathering information. And a lot of workers said that ChatGPT is able to get sufficient level of detail for me to get the basics I would otherwise have had to read a lot of reports and multiple newsletters. Along those lines, these tools are also really good at organizing and presenting information. So gathering a lot of information and synthesizing a nice summary of it. But this trend of AI helping with a lot of the cognition held through most other kinds of tasks as well, like problem solving and integrating the response, providing personalized solutions with things like in context learning with few shot examples. And you can see that in this table. So across the spectrum of activities required for critical thinking, knowledge comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, you can see these blue parts of these bars where people said that using AI requires much lesser effort or lesser effort than not. And only very few people said that it takes more or much more effort. So all this is painting a picture of how knowledge work is shifting. So there's some new cognitive tasks, mainly in response integration. But then many other tasks have been simplified or made much simpler. Things like information gathering, fetching and synthesizing and summarizing. And so the tasks that remain are very different than what knowledge workers would have done before AI. And this is the paragraph that sums up these findings really neatly, which is that the effort shifts in knowledge and comprehension. The effort shifts from having to manually gather all this information to letting the AI do that and then verifying it. In applying this knowledge, the effort shifts from problem solving to getting a draft solution from the AI and then integrating it into your workflow or your final output. And for analysis and evaluation, the effort shifts from actually executing the task yourself to stewarding the AI to perform that task. So that was a quick look at a paper that tries to empirically find how knowledge work and cognition and critical thinking are shifting when knowledge workers begin to use AI. I hope you found that useful. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing, like the video, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.